Colonel Yokana Omoya, Commanding Officer, 4th Infantry Battalion, Mbarara. Colonel Yokana Omoya is the son of 𝗕𝙁𝙁 Ojo Agolo Yolomoy. He served actually Lam with people like 𝗤𝙗𝗫𝐴𝑙𝑖𝑘𝐝 and Lar. He was also a court clerk and later served as secretary to 𝗕𝐁𝐨𝐫𝐵 during the protectorate era. His mother is 𝗖𝐸𝐸𝐹. Colonel Yokana Omoya went to school at Lira, Paluo, now known as Agago district. His uncle, 𝗢𝗺𝐷𝐿 was a teacher. That is where he met his future wife, Josephine Nyaga, who was also staying at her uncle's place. Jeremiah Ovadilang, who was also a teacher at the same school. As Uganda approached independence, most of our talented professional military soldiers who had been working for the King's African Rifle, who were based in Nairobi, began coming back home to organize themselves as we were heading for independence. The British had been recruiting a lot of people in the armed forces. But the fact is, the British at that moment preferred to recruit members of certain ethnic group into the military. And what surprised me, I learned that the majority of soldiers in the military at that moment were Nubians. Nubians were overrepresented followed by other ethnic groups from northern Uganda. In 1962, Uganda Rifle was renamed to Uganda Army. The new army had 700 troops in total. And I keep wondering whether it is real, the rumors that had been going around that the 𝗕𝙁𝙗𝐵𝐻 dominated the forces. The 𝗕𝙗𝙗𝐵𝐻 dominated the military. Those rumors is a lie. When Uganda got independence, we had 700 troops. The only problem with us Ugandans is that anybody who speaks Luo is considered an 𝗕𝙗𝙗𝐵𝐻. Whether you are a Lang, you are an 𝗕𝙗𝙗𝐵𝐻. Whether you are a Mudamba, you are an 𝗕𝙗𝙗𝐵𝐻. Whether you are an Alu, you are an 𝗕𝗗𝙗𝐵𝐻. Whether you are a Lango, you are an 𝗕𝗗𝙗𝐵𝐻. So anything to do with the Luo language, then they said, yeah, 𝗕𝗗𝙗𝐵𝐻 dominated the military. That's not true. It's a lie. We had 700 troops based in Jinja, and the majority of those troops were the Nubians. A lot of them settled in Jinja. Another group settled in Bombo. And thousands of the Nubians settled in Equatorial. So if you go back and you try to check up the truth, then you'll find that those people who were peddling those lies had it wrong. Now, the 700 troops were then expanded to 1,500. And the 2nd Battalion was created in Moroto. Welcome to Wangoo. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss your daily source of information on Uganda. Let me be clear and let's get started. Colonel Yokana Omoya was a professional military officer. He joined the King's African Rifle, KAR, and served in various places in Kenya, Nairobi. 𝗖𝙗𝐸𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻. He worked together with people like Idi Amin, Servan Opolot, Lieutenant Colonel Nagoya, and those who were in the King African Rifle and served during the Second World War. He lived with those people. They were friends. They were visiting one another. They knew one another. And here we had a young man among our older leaders. They were talented. They were professional, real military professionals. In 1962, when Uganda gained her independence, he was among the first 3 military officers who had been commissioned by the then President of Uganda, Sir Edward Mutesa II. Colonel Omoya, Brigadier Okoya, and Lieutenant Colonel Langoya were the 3 men who were commissioned by the President order to a full lieutenant at that moment. The Army headquarters was in Jinja. Colonel Omoya, together with his colleague, like Perrin Omoya, Lieutenant Colonel Langoya, Albertino, Savannah Polot, and Idi Amin knew one another well because they had already worked together in the King's African Rifle. And when they came back home, they were tasked with the responsibilities of setting up the Uganda Army. Here we are talking about heroes. Who built Uganda? We are talking about forgotten heroes who were swallowed up into a political flames. We are talking about heroes who had been hit so hard through the dark forces. Some of them ended up being killed. Some of them ended up in prison. Some of them ended up dead. In 1965, Colonel Yokana Omoya was transferred to Mbarara as a commanding officer for Infantry Battalion. Colonel Yokana Omoya and Brigadier Perrin Okoya were tipped to be the future leaders, and they presented, I think, a real threat to those who were in our political system and the government at that moment. But then, the fact is, the real problem was with the dark forces. The dark forces within the system. As I said before, those who created the General Service Unit, those who designed the State Research Bureau, are the people who had been creating problems in Uganda ever since we got independent. Because it does not make sense. It does not make sense. Some of those top military officers were taken out, were murdered, were killed, were assassinated. And if you go back today and you look at the history, you look at the facts, what had been going on since we got independence, then you begin to doubt whatever word someone comes and tells you. Because they never wanted you to understand the truth. And the killing of Yokana Omoya took all the people of Echoli land by surprise. Until today, we don't know who was behind that murder. Was it the dark forces within our society who took him away without notice? Was it politically motivated? Because we all know that within the dark forces, there are also groups who were eyeing the presidency of that country. Could it be that those type of groups are also involved in the assassination that had been taking place in Uganda since independence? We all know that Omoya was killed in a freak accident in Mbarara. He was driving from the barracks a mile away outside Mbarara, taking Corporal Lam to Mbarara Hospital. In that process, a truck hit his car and was seriously wounded, but not dead. He spent 3 days in Mbarara Hospital without any critical care provision and later died. Corporal Lam, who was a passenger in the car he was driving, is believed to have been poisoned with methanol, industrial alcohol that looks like Uganda waragi. All witnesses in this case, all known witnesses, according to the information we got, we read, they were all eliminated or killed or died in a well-planned manner. It means those who did the killing were real professionals. If it is not the dark forces within the government, then who killed Omoya? They played the game. At that moment, his driver was not in Mbarara. His driver was somewhere in West Nile. Because if his driver was in Mbarara, probably it would have been the driver that would be taking Lam to hospital, not the colonel. Those are the mysterious killing that hit the actual military officers. And up to today, we may not get the answer. But we believe that whoever killed these people it is connected to something bigger than us all. As I said before, the truth always circles back to where it all started. If you are in your right mind, go back in time and start counting your losses from the death of 𝗕𝙁𝙇. This is a whole young man. And then followed by the death of Colonel Yokana Omoya. He was a young man. He was only 39 years old. He had a lot in front of him, a lot of opportunity. But someone just took him off from his own children, from his wife, from the people he loved. So let's try to go back. I'm not trying to promote complot theory here. I'm just telling you that it all started, that the truth always circles back to where it all started. 𝗕𝙁𝙗𝙗, Yokana Omoya, Okoya, and then in 1971, Langoya. So if you want to talk about heroes, these are the young heroes who served the King African Rifle. They came home without a wound on their skin. just to die at home. Does it make sense to you? To me, it doesn't. And Wang-oo believe that these people, like Colonel Yokana Omoya, he is our hero. All those people who died before us, those I mentioned their names, are our heroes. And we are going to honor them. Wang-oo is going to honor them. We are going to keep their names alive. This is just the beginning. As we had before, that in case of the death of Okoya, the General Service Unit, GSU, might have been involved. And then we keep asking ourselves if that is so, if the State Research Bureau is involved. Why are they not investigating and coming out with a report so that we know who killed our top military officers? From a reliable source, some people claim that it was Amin who was doing the killing. 𝗬𝙗𝗵𝙠 once told the wife of Colonel Omoya that he didn't kill her husband. Was he lying? Was he playing a honest game? Those are the things that we could still follow up in future to find out where the truth lies. And thank you for listening. And remember, this is just the beginning. Talking about those who built Uganda. We will go on and on until we cover all of them. Thank you.